So whenever your hero's ego is being bruised, I notice something. A lot of people suddenly become very upset. They can't take it. They are eager to tear down. Why? It's a conversation, darling. Calm down. We disagree, but let us be honest on how we reason. Because I'm seeing arguments like, oh, Sowore has been around for years, so he's qualified to be the president, or he knows a lot. So if that is the argument, let us pause. Does being around for years qualify someone to be a president? And if by that logic, Tinubu is qualified to be our life president. So you see the problem. Longevity is not leadership. Time spent is not the same thing as direction shown. Now let's talk about the real issue. Sowore called Peter Obi a package fraud. That is a label. And for years, he has been going on and on about this without proper context, without detailed explanation, without building on an argument that can help people understand why. But the same people who accept this are demanding context when I question Sowore's ideology. Now let's talk about Sowore's ideology. Revolution now. Revolution, by definition, is a forceful takeover of power. So when Sowore is calling for revolution, and in the same breath, he says he believes in democracy, and then I had to ask, what is the direction? Now the explanation comes in. Some people say, oh, he meant mental revolution. Some say mental liberation. Some say revolution could be democratic. You are correct, but that doesn't erase the initial definition. So let me ask you, with all this definition, what modern day revolution do you know that is democratic? Let's have the conversation in the comment section. Revolution in history, whether you look at North Africa, you look at the Middle East, or even look at olden European transitions, have always involved disruption, force, and instability. So if what Sowore is actually preaching is truly democratic, then where is the evidence? Where is the conversation on electoral reform? Because someone who believes in democracy invests in the process. They talk about voter education, they talk about systems, they talk about structure. But tell me, how many times have you seen Sowore actively mobilize people to go get their PVC? How does he want to come about the democratic process? Not just to protest, but actual civic participation. Every election cycle, Sowore picks a form. He shows up. He doesn't even ask people to vote for him. But what has he built between elections? No sensitization. Leadership is not by standing alone and shouting. Leadership is about building a system that can outlive you. So when people say to me, Sowore is leading a democratic revolution, it is a very simple question. Where is the democracy in the method? Because if the only consistent tool is labeling people enemies of the country, then what exactly are we building? You cannot claim democracy and ignore the process. You cannot always preach revolution now, but comfortably participate in elections without explaining the contradictions. And this is not even an attack. This is a call for clarity. Because one of the basic traits of leadership is direction. And so, if the people don't understand what your revolution represents, I think it's Sowore's right to use his platform to state categorically what kind of revolution is he talking about and how does he want to achieve it. Let's bring it even back home. When Sowore stands somewhere like in an area market and they are chanting revolution now, what does that really mean? The place matters, the message matters, the audience matters. Because when you say revolution in that kind of environment, people are not talking about mental liberation or abstract ideas. It is urgency. It is a call to action. So let me ask a simple question. Why can't Sowore walk to INEC office and stand there and scream, revolution now? So the place, the message, and the person tells the story. Because leadership is not just about the definition you give it. Leadership is about what you say, where you say it, how you say it, and how the people understand it when it is being said. A leader cannot afford to be tricky. You cannot operate in a space where there are different interpretations to what you mean, but you physically act in a way that suggests one kind of revolution. And then when people question you, Your followers now come out to redefine, re-explain, and make it softer, make it safer, something intellectual. In other words, confusion. Because if your followers have to constantly reinterpret your words to defend you, maybe your message itself is not clear. A true leader doesn't leave his ideology open to convenient interpretation. You have to define it, you have to own it, you have to stand by it constantly, regardless of the audience or environment. So if revolution now to you is a democratic process, then it is time for you to talk about electoral reform and get your PVCs. It is a truth at a time. Take care and have a nice day.